Thank you for joining us today for my Captain Power Talks on how to incorporate humor in the forms of writing. My Captain Power Talks is powered by QFIS. QFIS provides an interactive cloud-based on-demand mentorship platform which acts as a one-stop hassle-free solutions to have conversation with industry leaders. QFIS offers a complete set of tools such as knowledge-based workshops and skills that knowledge based workshops and hosting skills and coaching to enhance the skills of individuals. It is more of a safe space outside your office or public space where you get insights from leaders who have traveled the same path that you're about to take. Today, we have our guest speaker, Mr. Banda Mansingh Lamba. He is known to be one of the exceptional copywriters of Chail India. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you, sir. Your humorous works in copywriting never forgets us to live with a smile. Talking about his tremendous success, he was recognized as a top performer of the quarter at Chail India. Not to forget to mention your various campaigns on Star Plus, social media handles with subjects to millions of views and likes. We, we would like to know your remarkable journey carried out with humorous talks and valuable thoughts. Without wasting much of the time, let's begin with the session, sir.
Wow, thank you for that introduction. I'm impressed by myself after I heard it. Uh, I'd just like to point out that I have a dog over here that really hates pigeons. So, although I have like put the blinds down, he can still sense pigeons. So if you hear a dog barking in the background, I apologize.
Yeah, it was all of a sudden. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
uh,
we can start off with the questions.
yeah. Okay. I wish I'd like prepared some kind of PowerPoint. Then you would be seeing less of my face and more of insightful words. But I was not able to do that. So my apologies.
Not a problem, sir. Yeah. As we discussed, moving on with the topic, how to incorporate humor in other forms of writing. So here comes your first question. What are your what are your thoughts on incorporating humor in other forms of writing? In your opinion, are there any specific forms of writing that lend themselves well to humor?
So it's quite a broad question. I'm gonna like the so you asked me in other forms of writing. I'm gonna assume that means all forms of writing. So
Yeah.
what's the importance of incorporating humor in all forms of writing? So like I mean, look around you. Like people love to be, they love to be amused. They love to laugh. They love to read things that make put a smile on their faces. So I mean, in life itself, humor is very important. Especially for me, my name is Banda, which means guy. So I've had to use a lot of humor just to like get by, or like so humor kind of uplifts people in many various different ways. And when it comes to writing, humor is important. Like it is one very powerful tool that you can use to uh, engage people more, or like make whatever you're writing seem a little more interesting. So I do feel that humor is a very important part of writing, no matter where it is. It can be in a newspaper article, it can be in a social media post caption, it can be literally everywhere. But the important thing about humor is that people use it because they want to make that bond with people. Like, look at it this way: humor is like it fills like a gap. Like for example, when you meet a new person, if you say something funny, it takes that awkwardness away. And that's often what I end up doing as like a coping mechanism as well. Just say something funny and then suddenly people start to like you more, which is probably why you'll find so many courses nowadays on people uh selling you tips and techniques on how to be the funniest person in the room. So yeah, I mean, that's a little bit about how important humor is in writing. It's definitely very powerful. What was the second part of that question?
On mute. Yeah. Can
Yeah,
you hear me now?
yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. In your opinion, are there any specific forms of writing that lend themselves well to humor?
Hmm. So I think personally, all forms of writing lend themselves very well to humor. Uh, like I said, newspaper articles, you can find it in like in a blog, in a social media caption. There are, however, some forms of writing that do not lend well to humor. So these would be things that are dealing with. It depends on the topic, the subject that you're writing about. So if you're talking about something very tragic, then you don't want to be humorous over there, because then people will want to send you death threats. in your DMs, and that's never pleasant. So, for example, to give you an example, recently a cyclone happened, and if some newspaper journalists were to come out with an article and be humorous about it, people won't appreciate that, because like a cyclone is very serious topic. Lives have been lost. Similarly, so yeah, I mean, you don't want to use humor and obituary as well, because over there you're dealing with a very serious topic. So provided you're not dealing with a very serious topic, um, humor fits in pretty well everywhere actually, apart from, like I said, obituaries and stuff. So yeah, I guess you'd want to avoid using humor in very serious. On the other hand, though, humor can be used to make serious things less serious. But again, you can't be like dealing with things like lives and deaths and damage to property. So yeah, humor makes things less serious. But when things are very, very serious, that they've captured people's minds, you don't want to use humor over there. um yeah, I think that kind of answers that question.
True, sir. It was
Yeah,
very thoughtful. Very
yeah,
thoughtful, sir.
thank you. Also, for all the people who are uh, have the privilege of seeing my face with my very big lockdown beard, if you have any questions or like thoughts or whatever while I'm speaking, you can like put them in that chat
Q&A
box.
section.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh, I'd be happy to say something about it.
Yeah. We are looking forward for your participants. Yeah. Moving on, sir. As a copywriter, have you experimented with adding humor to content you create? What points do you keep in mind while doing so?
Hmm. So this is my dream every day to. So just to give you all the people over here a little bit of background, if you don't know what a copywriter is, a copywriter is basically a person who is a writer who works in advertising agencies. So in a sense, they are using their words to persuade people to buy products or to entertain people, or in various different formats on social media and films and like banners. So that's what a copywriter does. And the question was, if I try to use humor in whatever I write for the advertising agency I work at. Is that the question?
So, what have you experimented with adding humor to the content you create?
Okay, yeah. So I actually have. Unfortunately, I mean, fortunately for me, I'm someone who believes that humor makes almost anything better. Unfortunately, when you're working in an advertising agency, you are at the uh, mercy of the clients you work for. So sometimes clients, they just don't want something to be said in a funny way. They don't want it to be said in a humorous way. So I'll give you an example. Like, one of the clients I work right for is they host JEE sessions for the very hardworking and resilient individuals who want to get into IIT. So that's a serious topic. Like, preparing for IIT is considered to be a very serious topic. So over there, they generally don't want humor to be used. So I can't use humor over there, much to my dissatisfaction. Um, but yeah, I do, wherever I can, I do try to make things a little, I won't say humorous, I try to make them a little amusing. Uh, so I'd say humor, like, there are varying degrees of humor. One is the one where people just stop what they're reading and like burst out laughing. Then there is a more mild version of humor that probably, makes people snicker or giggle a little bit to themselves. And then there's the humor that amuses a little bit. So like, it's not like a burst out laughing. It's just slightly amusing. So I do try to do that third one that I mentioned, because that's the type that clients usually do not mind, but yet still do mind a lot. Uh, so yeah, I try to be a little amusing, because people like reading amusing stuff. So that is yeah. So I try to be a little amusing with my copy, but it's a little hard, because most of the time clients are very serious. They're very serious about their products. They're like, this is a very good product. There's no place for humor. You cannot say something funny about our product. So in advertising, it is a little hard depending on which clients you have, which clients you're writing for. Um, but yeah, I still do try to be a little amusing. Doesn't always
So,
work out though.
you incorporate that humor in everything you mean to say?
Yeah.
Try
So
to.
yeah, I do. So how I try to do it is that I just be myself. I write in my own tone of voice, and generally I've found that I try to be a funny person. So many times I fail, but sometimes I succeed. uh,
Okay.
Sometimes I've told very bad jokes that people have told me they want to hit me for. So I do try to be funny in real life, in normal life, which is why I think I find myself trying to be funny in whatever I write as well. So yeah.
Yes, sir. Good to know. Good to know. And I wasn't aware of so many types and forms of humor that you gave us. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are varying degrees because humor is a
Ranges.
very broad term. Like humor is something that provokes laughter. Now, what can provoke laughter? There are many different things, many different forms of laughter as well. There's internal laughter in here, but not over here. And there's laughter that's out there, and then there's laughter that, you know. So there are varying degrees. So which is why it's an interesting topic, because humor is many different things. And when you talk about humor in writing, you're talking about many different things, which even have subgenres. Like if you look at it, like there's dark humor. um I don't know if any of you have had the misfortune of hearing a dead baby joke, but they are quite around a lot. So there are those as well.
Oh,
um
yeah.
there's a comment over here from Labdeep
Yeah.
Pasad.
Can you please answer
Yeah, so
that?
suppose you have ad of lip balm and you can add humor, what will you suggest as tagline? Wow. If you pay me, then I'll tell you what tagline I'll add, because no, but honestly, it's hard for me to come up with stuff on the spot, because good writing involves a lot of thinking. You write it down in the Word doc. Most often what you say aloud, when you put it down, you read it, sounds like trash. But I think a good humorous angle, I'm not going to give you a line because it'll be a little hard for me to craft a line on the spot. Wow, I feel tested. It's like an interview for my next job. um a good angle for the lip balm would be like, now for example, if it's a cherry blossom kind of lip balm that, like, maybe really makes your lips shine a lot, like shine with color. So I do something with that shine, like, how that shine is having an effect on other people. And how I try to convey that is more through visuals than words, the expressions on people's faces where they're like taken aback, completely taken aback. So over there, I think what I'm touching upon here is that what I'd use over here is not exactly humor in the writing, but humor in the situation. When you take a certain situation, like a very shocked person, and then you place it in front of a lip balm, like it's a little funny because being shocked is a little over the top, and then lip balm is like something you apply on your lips. So that is something that's a little humorous. It'll be in the zone of I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Orbit White ad from long ago, where there's this guy, he eats Orbit White, and then his teeth get so white that he opens it and he's lighting up a tennis match for his Maharaja. So that's humorous because a guy is lighting up a tennis court with his teeth. So that's a humorous scenario. So I'd try to do something over there. That's of course like a first level thought. So if I get something better, I'll get back to you.
Very, very nicely explained, sir. I hope that question is answered.
Okay. There
Yeah.
are a couple of more questions over
In
here.
Q&A,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll touch upon them later in
Yeah,
the.
okay, cool.
I'll get touch upon them there.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Here comes your next question. What's your take on controversial comedy in writing? Is there any kind of humor that our mentees should absolutely avoid?
Hmm. So this again really depends on who you're writing for. Now, if you're writing for a very grown up, what's the average age over here? How old do you think people would be
Pursuing
over here?
graduates, sir.
Okay, good. So I don't have to be very serious then. Uh, so if you're writing for a very, like, say a 50-year-old professional, if you're writing for people like that, then there are certain types of humor that you wouldn't want to use. You wouldn't want to use dark humor, because the generations that came before us, they get a little offended or taken aback by things that we younger people do. So it really depends on who you're writing for. When you're writing for young people, then there is a big range of things you can do. Young people even find it funny if you write an abuse, but obviously I wouldn't recommend doing that for like a very big public forum. uh, People will then abuse you back in your comments, so that's not fun. um, but yeah, so it really depends on your audience, basically, is the easiest answer to this question. The second answer would be, think of think about, if you were face to face with a person and you were going to tell them what you're thinking of writing down, what you think is humorous. would that person get offended? Would they be taken aback? Would they be brought to tears because you said something so controversial that they hold so deeply that it'll bring them to that state? So that's a good check to have in place. Think about, if you were face to face, if you said this, what the reaction would be. If you still think the person would find it funny, then it's a good way forward. It might be funny. Chances are it will be funny, but it's very important to have that filter. And I think I missed the first part of the question. What was the first part?
What's your take on controversial comedy in writing?
Okay. So I personally feel that controversial comedy is, I think I touched a bit about how, like, there's several subgenres of humor. There's dark humor. So controversial comedy would definitely be another genre. I am a little lukewarm towards it, uh, because often when it comes to controversial comedy, you will find that the person who's writing it probably wants to get the max number of eyeballs. He wants the max number of people to take notice of what he's writing, which is why he's picked up a controversial topic, because when it's a controversy, people tend to get ignited with fury and whatnot. So I do think that it's a slightly dangerous zone to get into, because again, over here you might be offending someone. Um, like, for example, AIB did with their roast. I don't know if you guys know about the AIB roast that happened a couple of years ago. Roast is where you take a person and like just make fun of them, and like it's quite funny. It's popular in the United States, but over here in India, it was controversial because of the topics, and people got very offended, and then AIB had to take it off air. So controversial humor, I would say, is more of like a last resort humor, because it's less about making people laugh. It's more about getting attention to yourself. So if you want to get attention to yourself, then be controversial by all means. If you want to shock people, provoke people a little bit, but you got to do it gently. So it's not my favorite form of humor. My favorite form of humor would be witty, tongue-in-cheek humor, because that's a little smart, it's amusing, and then makes you giggle a little bit. So that personally, that's the type of humor I like the most. But yeah, but if you like controversial humor, then you might want to get into that zone, figure out what works, what doesn't work. Unfortunately, it's a process of trial and error. So you might get a couple of things wrong, a couple of insults hurled away, but take no notice, keep plowing
Yeah.
on.
So you have given a hint somewhere that controversial comedy might put into zones of facing a lot of difficulties.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Do you feel humor in its essence has changed with time? Is there any element of this change that our mentees should be mindful of? You
So
feel, yeah.
I think it's all about the concept of humor itself hasn't changed, because perhaps it's been added on. Maybe things have become more mainstream. Dark humor has become more mainstream. But all forms of humor, as you see it today, they all existed at some point in the past. The only thing that has changed is the context. Like the things we find funny today, a lot of the things we find funny today, we find them funny because of what's happening around us. It's contextual to what's happening right now. For example, you'll find a lot of memes on our prime minister bursting out into tears, and a lot of people find that funny because it's a funny topic that, oh wow, he went on camera and he started crying. Whether it's real or not, I won't get into that. But so we find it funny because that context will change 50 years from now. Someone, when they see that meme, they'll be like, what is this? They might roll their eyes at it. They won't find it funny. So it's not the humor that changes, it's the context around which the humor um, is based on, or taking a jab at, that changes. That being said, there are forms of humor, there are humorous pieces that will remain humorous throughout, because they don't talk about a context. Their context is the human, like how we feel, our emotions down the ages are largely unchanged. That's why people like so many authors that have passed away centuries ago, because they can relate to it. So humor that's like that stays the same, but humor that's on the basis of a context that can change, or a context that's not a universal truth, that will definitely change and not hold value down the years. Wow, I sound like a professor. I think I'll I think I'll look at one of these Q&As, a couple of these. So, an
Yes.
anonymous attendee. Wow.
Yeah.
What's your most favorite topic about humor? So, I don't have a favorite topic. Um, more often than not, it's not the thing that's being spoken about for me, but how it's being spoken about that like leads me to like it more. So, like I said, witty humor that's very witty, tongue in cheek, that's almost a little cheeky, little smart. You'll find it a lot in several advertising campaigns as well. If you look at Burger King International, where they are making fun of McDonald's, so that kind of humor I like. In general, I mean, in the advertising space, the humorous jabs that brands take on their competitors, that's funny. It's fun to see a brand fighting with another brand or insulting it. So that's definitely funny. And Abhishek Chaube says, what's the writing format for a copywriter? So a copywriter, let me break that down for you. Okay, 100 years ago, copy meant text, because when the printing press um, was still around, they used to take a copy of the letters and put it in the press, and the press used to press it down, and then the words used to come over there. So that part was called a copy. Essentially, the modern translation of copywriter would be word writer today. So um, words can take on any format, medium/medium. For me, I get briefs to work on print ads, to work on social media campaigns, to work on films, to work on billboards. So that the writing format for a copywriter is basically any place where words can go. uh, I hope that answers your question. I'll take the remaining two in the other questions that you're about
Coming.
to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That would work. Thank you. So this is an interesting question. We all are eager to know.
Yeah.
Are there any writers, comedians, or artists who inspired you to start adding humor to your writing?
Hmm.
Which of their works would you recommend and you got inspired by?
Okay. So this is a both yes and a no. It's a no because I like being funny, like doing humorous things, like entertaining myself. So that's actually what inspired me to kind of write in a humorous manner. The yes part is that often I do find that I need inspiration. I need ways of how can I get funnier, and the best way to become a funnier writer is to read other funny content or to watch other funny content. You become what you eat. So if you eat a lot of funny stuff, you become a funny thing. So I guess the people that have had the most impact on me, one is Veer Das. um, I follow him regularly on Instagram. He also, because his humor is kind of witty humor, the humor I like, smart humor. It's not just like, yeah, this is funny. He gets very analytical about it, and that's a little funny as well. In terms of like his pieces, I'd say like just his Instagram page. If you just like go to his Instagram page, he always has this daily dose of smart humor coming over there. So that is one. The other writers that I'm inspired by are copywriters. I don't know if you would have heard of them. One's name is Dave Harland. He is basically a copywriter based in the UK. He hasn't written a particular book or anything that I take inspiration from, but he has written a couple of ads on LinkedIn. He keeps on posting humorous things, so much so that even I posted or tried to be humorous in a recent LinkedIn post 2 days ago. It did pretty well, pretty okay. That's a shameless plug for my LinkedIn page. You can check it out if you want. So Dave Harland is one. There's another copywriter. His name is Dan Nelkin, who is a copywriter based out of the United States of America. Again, he hasn't written a book as well. It's mostly his ads that I watch. He's written quite a few funny lines. He's written a couple of funny lines for a steak brand. That was quite funny. Uh, so yeah, I mean, my inspiration doesn't come from one piece of work. It more comes on a daily running basis where I follow these people to see what they're doing, what their latest piece of work is. That being said, there is a book that is quite humorous that is also by no presence for the guesses, another copywriter. It is called. It's lying over there, so I'm just going to get it 1 second. So this is the book. It's called. I literally just got it today, but like I'd read a little bit of it online. It's called "Writing Your Way Ahead in Advertising" by Thomas Kemeny. So this is a book that actually inspires me to be a little more funny. It gives me good tips. It's quite entertaining to read as well. So yeah, I mean, that's basically how it is for me, that I do follow people on a running basis and take inspiration from the small pieces of things that they do. I do like watching funny movies as well. I like one of the funniest movies that I've ever seen is Death at a Funeral. um, Again, this is really funny because of it's written so funnily, because a funeral is a serious matter, like it's about a funeral that's happening, but they've taken some really funny things and put it in over there, and it's like you're literally laughing about a movie that's based at a funeral. So check it out, it's a very
Can you repeat
interesting.
the movie, sir?
It's called Death at a Funeral. I can put in the comments as well over here. Death.
Yeah, you can. Make sure it's panelists and attendees.
That did it come over in the right place?
No.
Okay, it didn't come
Only
in the
we
right place.
panelists got. Click there, panelists and attendees.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. I didn't know this. Okay, so this is a good movie that I saw early on, quite a while back, and
Netflix, Prime.
You will have to Google that one. I don't remember where I watched it.
Okay.
But yeah, this is one movie that definitely made me think more funnily when I realized that you can take two contrasting things.
Yeah,
Okay,
could
there's an interesting question in the comments by an anonymous attendee. So it says no publicity is bad publicity. So does controversial or dark humor increase the popularity of the product? This really depends on the target audience. Target audience are the people who you are writing for. Now, if you're writing for, as I said, if you're writing for like a big, not a big, an old person, they might not take well to dark humor. So it's all about finding that niche of people. Young people are a little more inclined towards dark humor, I would say, based on my experience. Don't take this as like a scientific evidence of it, because Banda said it must be true. So yeah, dark humor can increase the popularity. It can be disastrous as well. It really depends on the target audience. I, for one, would, unless it's a very niche product that's like not the target audience isn't like a very mass audience, I'd say dark humor might work well over there, because then you're reaching out to a very small niche of people. But if you have a large sample set, a large set of audience, there will be a large percentage of that audience that is not into dark humor. It's the truth, which is why many of you may not have even heard of dead baby jokes, because it's not in your interest set. So if it's a large audience, don't use dark humor. If it's a very niche audience that's young and you think will appeal, dark humor will appeal to, I would say go for it. And there's another interesting question that is within this question. So that's like questionception. If you've seen Inception, you'll get that reference. No publicity is bad publicity. There is a publicity that is bad publicity. That is, if everyone's talking badly about your product, that is a bad publicity, because when people buy things, there are several things they keep in mind. One is what they think of the brand, not what they think of the product. So if you hear a lot of negative stuff about a product, you will start thinking negative stuff about that brand. A good example is Volkswagen. A couple of years back, they faked a test that was checking how much pollution levels their cars were giving out. So they faked that test to try to pass and show that, look, our cars actually have met the requirements. And when people came to know about that, their shares and stock prices, they actually fell a lot, and people actually started boycotting Volkswagen. So that is a scenario in which bad publicity is bad publicity. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I'll try to answer all your questions that you're asking as well.
Simultaneously, with the
Yeah.
questions. Yeah.
Multitasking is my forte.
Thank you. So I would like to have one question for you. Okay, I'll ask you later. Yeah.
You can ask me right now.
Okay. So who recognized the humor in you? Was that you itself or someone else, or you got to know from someone?
So I'm a little bit of a narcissist who thinks I'm very good at everything. So I kind of
Okay.
recognize the humor in myself. But
Okay.
that being said, one way through which I test whether I'm being funny or plain stupid is by running stuff past people. Um, so there's this very interesting analogy someone had given a while back, that Google is a sounding board that people use a lot, where they like search and test stuff. But a better sounding board than Google is actual people, because they'll give you their opinions. On Google, you search, you'll find what you're looking for. If you search for why is Inception such a great movie, you'll get 10 reasons for why it's such a great movie. If you're searching for why is Inception such a bad movie, you'll also find 10 reasons for that. So in a way, I self-crowned myself as a humorous person, but other people verified it, and many people didn't verify it as
Acknowledged
well.
it.
Yeah, but I still believe that I'm humorous.
That's great, sir. Yes,
Shortly.
we can see the talks, and it's very engaging, sir.
Hmm.
Lovely.
Hmm.
Okay.
There's another interesting question over here. Abhishek Chaube is asking, how much reading are the materials important? How much are the reading materials important in terms of copywriting? So yeah, they are important. But before you can't start reading lots of books and become a copywriter. You've got to be a copywriter before you read, which is what I mean is that you've got to be comfortable with writing. If you're comfortable with writing, then you work a little bit as a copywriter, and then you use other pieces of information around you as um, like inspiration to become a better copywriter. So on that front, they are very important. That is one reason why I bought this book, because it also does give you good tips on, like, how to be a better copywriter, gives you examples. So reading materials are important, but they won't determine, they aren't the deciding factor of like how great a copywriter you are. I'm not a very great copywriter myself. I'm 26, and I'm a little 4 years into the industry. So I'm not a veteran or a creative director. I'm still someone who's trying to get my bearings over there. But I found that my thinking has gone really next level and beyond when I've read something that, it gives you good nuggets of advice. So yeah, that.
Thank you, sir. Truly inspiring words,
Thank you.
thoughts. Yes. Moving on to the next question. In your opinion, which
Hmm.
brands excel at using humor in their existing ad campaigns?
Okay. So two of my favorite brands in when it comes to humor. Wendy's, which is not the Wendy's India. I mean, Wendy's does have Wendy's India as well, but if you look at Wendy's, the global team of Wendy's, if you search on Twitter, just type Wendy's, or if you search on Google, just type Wendy's, not Wendy's _IN. They have got their humor game very strong, especially on Twitter. It's like really funny. Like they had a recent ad where they were talking about their new bacon burger, and they've run it in such a funny manner. It's like, please check it out. So Wendy's is one. Another one is surprisingly an insurance company, which is not
Okay.
based in India. It's called Geico. I would highly recommend, if I'll just type the name. Geico is a very, very good brand, for a very good case study for humor. Like they've just done so many different things, and they've taken a topic like financial something. I don't even know. I think it's insurance and a little bit of something else. But they've just added such a humorous twist to it. So that's my favorite brand. Dean says Durex's Instagram page is hilarious too. Yeah, Durex is also their humor game is very strong. Durex's humor game is very strong. Burger King's humor game is very strong. You'll mostly find that brands that target, not counting Durex targets everyone, but like brands that really want to build that connect with younger people, a younger audience, a less serious crowd, they use a lot of humor. And humor, they also use humor to cut through, like, misconceptions. Like the financial brand, they cut through the entire misconception that finance is a boring space, and showed you that finance can be interesting. So yeah, Labdhi has asked what degree to go for. That depends on what you want to do. I mean, if you want to be a writer, uh, I personally graduated from mass media. I did BMM, Bachelor of Mass Media, because that you can literally go anywhere from there. There's English literature as well, is a good course if you want to be a writer, because a lot of inspiration from good writing comes from pieces of great literature. Basically, they come from pieces of great literature. So if you want to be a writer, those are two domains I definitely recommend. uh, Last one before we go on to the next one. Vaibhav has asked how to deal with bad response to good humor. So I do this on a daily basis, because I have some very slapstick jokes that I tell people, and more often than not, people roll their eyes or want to hit me for it. So I guess don't take it too hard. Don't be very serious about how people are responding to it, unless you've done something gravely wrong. So if you genuinely feel that it's funny, chances are that it is funny, but like not everyone is like you, so not everyone will find it funny. So if you in your heart feel that, oh wow, this is funny, and the other person doesn't know what they're talking about, then the other person doesn't know what they're talking about because you found it funny. So yeah, don't take it too hard and don't take it too personally if someone doesn't like it. I mean, that goes for everything in life, not just humor. Someone doesn't like something you're working on, but you like it. It doesn't matter what other people say. If they do like it, it's just validation. If they don't, you like doing it, right? So it doesn't really matter. Yeah, we can move on to the next one. I promise I'll, for all the people who I haven't responded to, I will.
Sure, sure. Thank you, sir. Managing both. Yeah. Oh, okay. While adding humor to your writing, do you add entire jokes in the regular format of a premise followed by a setup and a punchline? Or do you make any changes to incorporate them smoothly? I'll repeat it for you.
No, I got
Well,
it. I got it.
okay,
It's something I think about daily actually. How can I become funnier in my writing? Essentially,
regular
what
format, yeah.
what do I do to be funnier? So it all starts with using your own voice, okay, what you think is funny. But then that being said, there are things you can do, like tips and tricks that I've also come across, that I try to use. So the first trick, technique, hack, whatever you want to call it, to being funny or making something funny, it's called the list and the twist. So essentially what you do in this is that if you're list you take a if you're talking about several different things, you list two of those things and you make them what they're exactly about and make the third one funny. Now I'll give you an example. So if I were to use this technique to introduce myself and make myself seem a little amusing as a person, I'd say, hi, my name is Banda. I'm a copywriter, advertising executive, and promoter of cool facial hair. Or I mean, that's just off the cuff. I mean, it may not come across as funny right now but it's slightly amusing. It adds an angle. So that's just to show you that using this technique where you actually in a list, the last thing you talk about is like random or off the board, that can like elevate your writing a little bit. So that is one thing that you can use. um, or it only works if you use it in if you use it in groups of three. So if your list consists of three things, make the third one the funny one, this first two the serious ones. So and it works in three because if your list is too long, then people kind of they won't reach the end. So three is a good number. Another technique is I think I would call it the grinning detail. um, Maybe someone else has called it something else, but essentially it's where when you're talking about something, you find this comes a lot from your personal experience, what you think is funny. If you find something that is funny when you're talking about something serious, you just add that in. It's like a describer, a way of describing something in a humorous way. So an example off the cuff, what will I say? Um, so for example, if I'm in a hospital and I'm talking about what it's like to be in a hospital and I'm wearing a hospital gown, so how can I add a little humor in that scenario? um, the hospital gown kept tickling my butt in a very annoying manner. That's slightly humorous. It's a little fun, a little funny, a little amusing, makes a person smile a little bit. So regardless of what you're talking about, you put a line like this in the middle of a serious paragraph, it'll automatically change the tone, it'll change the tempo, it'll suddenly be about something else. People will smile, people will grin, they'll be a little amused. So yeah, this is the second tip, that add a grinning detail, add a detail that you think people will find funny. um, Another one, this is more in the controversial zone. It's called a misdirect. These are all classic advertising hooks and hacks to make your writing more interesting that I'm telling you. So how a misdirect works is you start off talking about something and then you end up talking about something completely different. So this comes in very handy for all of you people who are on Tinder or Hinge or Bumble or using any of those dating sites. You use something like this in your bio and you'll automatically seem more interesting. So I can start off by saying I have something in common with Hitler. We're both failed painters. So I started with something about Hitler, but then I switched to something completely different that is unexpected. So it's like a misdirect. It kind of hits you and then you go like, wait, what? So that's another good hack, like basically to it's a little bit like the list and twist, except it gets a little more into the details rather than just listing the stuff out. Um, the fourth one is to be so randomness lot of has a big role to play in humor. When you're random, suddenly people find it funny. Um, so if you can incorporate a little randomness into your writing, then it'll be funny. Like for example, if I'm giving a job application, I'm not saying don't actually try this in real world. It's just off the cuff. If someone asks me why should I hire you, I'll say I'm diligent, hardworking, I can get things done, but most importantly, I don't smell bad. So that's a humorous ending note. So it's not contextual to what the person asked me, but I just added it over there, and that makes it funny. It's completely out of place. I've picked it up and put it somewhere over there. So these are some ways in which I try to make my writing a little more funny. These are subtle ways; they're not very out there. On the other hand, you can also try to write entire jokes and everything, but I've had more success with these ones, and like they give you a framework of doing things. So I find that really helpful when you have a framework. So
Yes.
okay, I think I'll answer one or two of these questions because they're building up quite a bit. Please write the names of your inspirations too, also your LinkedIn ID. You can search for me on LinkedIn. This is how you spell my very, very long name.
So
That's how
I
you
would
spell my
like
name.
to prompt one situation or scenario to
Okay,
audience as
cool.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have given your ideas, ideologies, and concepts how you would add humor. So I would ask participants like what exactly they want in order to add humors, like it be it exam scenarios. How could you add humors like that? For me, I want exams. So the participants can point out what exactly they want in order to build a humor in them in their life. So this question is for participants. Yeah. So I hope you're free to
Yeah.
answer. Feel
Yeah, yeah,
free.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
In fact, I think exams might be very contextual to many of you.
Mm.
Snickers had done this one ad campaign last year where they
Okay.
actually took the topic of exams and tried to make it a little interesting, a little funny, where they invented this character called Exam Baba. It's like literally a Baba, and like Exam Baba kept on giving advice to people, like slightly funny advice. So that is a interesting way to add humor. Again, like contextual humor.
Okay.
May not be funny for a 40-year-old. So
You were there to take up any questions in the Q&A?
yeah, let's see. So there is one question from Disha who says, for small taglines like "Har Ghar Kuch Kehta Hai," what might be the format of the rough draft that the copywriter drafted? Okay, wow, that's a tough question because I'd have to get into the brain of the copywriter, so I really wouldn't know.
Okay.
But I guess so. This line actually was written by, I don't know if you guys know, but this line was written by Piyush Pandey, who is a legendary ad man in India. He's like hailed as like the up there for many people. They want to be like him. Even I want to be able to write like him. So I really don't know what happened in his head. If I did, then perhaps I would have been the next him. Uh, but if I were to try to see like how he reached over there, I think he would go from like he would go far away from the product. Everyone talks about it's for Asian paint. Everyone's talking about paint. He probably went like, okay, where does paint go? Paint goes in a house. What about the house? What makes the house special? What is one house? What does a house constitute? So that's probably where his thinking went, where he went from like the product to all the way to like where the product goes and what it represents. So that's probably how he did it, but I really can't say unless I invented the device where I can get into his brain, which I wish I could. Then I'd be able to write very good taglines. An anonymous attendee says how to get yourself placed as a copywriter in a good firm. Okay, so there are two things that you can do. One is you get an internship in a big firm, in a good firm. How you can get an internship is it's much easier nowadays than it was 4 years ago. You just make a list of firms, make a list of companies that you want to work at, then on go to LinkedIn and then you search for that company and employees who work for that company and try to find the HR people of that company or anyone in that company and direct message them and say, hi, I'm interested in becoming a copywriter working at your agency because I love your company. Uh, I just wanted to find out if there are any openings. So that is one way. The second way is to do work on your own. By that, I mean like take write interesting lines, see brands like, see Durex, for example. Try to think about what would Durex do as an ad or as a post on Karwa Chauth, and then make that post yourself and then upload it. And then if it's good, people will notice it. If people don't notice it, you can still keep it as a piece of work to show that when you're applying to places, you can be and they ask you, so what have you done so far, you can be like, proactively, I did this. So that goes a long way. So yeah, that's how you can get yourself placed as a copywriter in a good firm. If you can't become a copywriter in a good firm, you can still search for a firm that isn't good in your, every firm is good in its own way. Small firms are sometimes better than bigger ones because they're more agile. There are many different things you can do over there, and more importantly, they give you work experience. So that's how many people do it. They go for a small firm, they get work experience. Then once they built up a portfolio, then they apply to a large firm, and then the large firm will take them because it'll see that, this person has worked for 1 year, they've done this, they know how the industry works. That's one thing you can do. Last one before we move on to the next one. Sorry.
You have many interesting questions
Yeah.
asked.
I love writing. I am thinking of getting into content or copywriting, but I want to know, does it pay well? Okay, so two things. It really depends. Okay. Firstly, as a copywriter or a content writer, your starting salary is going to be lower than in most industries. You won't get paid as much as an entry-level lawyer or other things. So it doesn't pay well initially. That being said, as the years go by, it does increase. It does match other professions as well. So I guess if you want to be a copywriter, don't look at the money for the first couple of years. That's why I don't check my bank account, otherwise I start crying. Uh, so don't look at the money at first. Just look at the fact that I like doing this and I want to do it. And the good part about being a copywriter or content writer is that you get exposure into so many different fields. Like right now I'm writing, I know how social media works a little bit because I write for social media. I'm working for a tire client, a client that makes tires, so I know a little bit about tire and I know how they market their product. At the same time, I know the problems that some people who are studying for the IIT JEE go through because I'm writing for a client that prepares them for that. So when you work in advertising, it's like a convergence of many different things. So I guess make a pro and cons list, and then based on that, low wage initially will be a con, but like if the pros overweigh the con, then you want to go there. Yeah.
Definitely experience build up and
Yeah.
it takes part. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We can go to the next one, I guess, and then I'll come back again to a couple of new ones.
Sure. What made me laugh is you had a question. Were you a teacher earlier? How was the experience? So, okay.
Oh, the teacher was. I mean, the experience was lovely. I'm actually a teacher. I go to the mirror, and I teach myself to do things, and I say motivational quotes, and then I teach myself to get motivated. So that's a very good experience.
That's
Sorry,
great.
I'm being slapstick. I'm not actually a teacher. I was never a teacher. Yeah, I'm not a teacher.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, sir. So, yeah. How do you mold the comic elements in your writing to suit your target audience?
That really depends on the target audience. I think I touched a little bit on this, like the different kinds of audience. So it really depends on what people are interested in. If your target audience is young, then they want small, not too much writing, just a little bit of stuff like snackable things, like because they're scrolling on their feeds. That's why memes have become so popular, because you can literally take 2 seconds out to read a meme and then laugh about it and be like, oh, I got this joke, and share it with your friend, and you're done. So it really depends on your target audience. People who are heavy engineers, physicians, hardcore scientists, they love science related jokes. The only mainstream representation of that is the Big Bang Theory. We all find it funny because the character of Sheldon. But imagine someone who's an engineer who's in that level of physics, he'll find it hilarious because he'll be like, oh my God, Schrodinger's cat, and like this deals with stuff I deal with every single day. So it depends a lot on your audience. Every single audience has a different form of humor that they like. A person who's a financial analyst, a financial related joke, he'll find it funnier. I mean, he may not find it funnier, but he'll definitely appreciate it more because it's coming from his own personal life. It's a reflection of his life because he understands that. So it really depends on your target audience. You'd have to do some research, find out who they are, what keeps them ticking, what do they do, what kind of content do they like. So that's how it changes for each different person.
Yes, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you. You want to take up any questions?
Yeah. Is which are there any of
Sir,
these that
you
I have?
missed one Q&A question.
Yeah.
Labdi has asked, in future, will you try to take up stand-up comedy?
Well, as I said, like whenever I look at my bank account, I feel like crying, so I try not to do it. So I'm usually thinking of ways where which I can make more money. Definitely has occurred to me. Maybe I can do stand-up comedy a little bit. I
Mhm.
haven't done it because I'm a little uh, terrified that I'll go up on a stage full of people and then I say something and I think, no, I said something very funny. There's pin drop silence. So that's one fear that I haven't gotten over. Second is that I guess I'm looking for more motivation to do it, but I haven't explored it yet. Maybe I will in the future. I don't know. Hopefully, I won't fail and start crying.
You will not, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any more? Can you share a piece of yours
Just
so we can
checking the
understand how someone
chat.
has accomplished like you use it? Yeah, I could share a piece, but like unfortunately, it's not most of them aren't humorous pieces because a lot of what I've done is actually gotten approved by the client I work for. So you won't find humor in it. You might find some other stuff. I mean, also won't be the best thing you ever come across, but it's stuff that I'm proud of. So I could share you a link to my portfolio if you'd like. um
So,
are there any more?
yes, there's a question. Now, suppose if human are product, how will you advertise?
If humans are products,
Yeah.
now over here I think dark humor would have a good role to play because the very fact that the human is the product means like you're selling humans is a dark concept in itself. So the people who would be interested in it would be like, you know they'd be interested in dark humor. So how would I sell humans as a product? I'd probably say something like, imagine if you could make your own product cry or something like that. Like I'd take a human emotion, a very dark thing about being human, or like being a little mean in the tone of voice. I'd probably do something like that. um Honestly, I don't know what I'd do. Actually, I'd have to give that some thought. That's an interesting one. I'll give that some thought. If I come up with something by the end of this, I'll tell you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. So we'll wrap up with the last question that we have, and then we'll
Hmm.
move on to follow-up
Yeah.
question. Yeah. So, are there any ethics that our mentees must follow in this process? Would you like to share any final tips with our mentees
Hmm.
overall?
Yeah. So two things. One is uh, gauge the seriousness of what you're writing about or the conditions you're writing around. That's a good filter. Don't write humorous things about cyclones or stuff that's happening right now that has put people in a lot of grief. Don't write
Right.
jokes about the Israeli-Palestinian war. People won't like it. They'll get very hurt. I mean, your target audience might not be a Palestinian, but imagine if a Palestinian read your joke, how would he feel? So that's a good check to have. If you're writing a joke about something, writing something funny about something, imagine the something that you are writing about in front of you and imagine how that person would react. So use your humor to uplift, don't use it to criticize or make people feel bad. That is I think that's the best piece of advice I could give.
Very indeed, sir. Very indeed
Yeah.
for all of us. Yeah. They've asked to share the link of your portfolio.
Oh yeah, you can just search for my name on Behance. uh doesn't have a lot of the stuff I've done over the past year, but it's been updated last 1 year ago because 1 year ago I was looking for a job, and 1 year ago I got my job at jail based on that portfolio. So it doesn't include stuff I've done over the past year. Yeah, I should probably add that over there as well. But yeah, I mean, that's the link to my portfolio. And there's another question over there that says, what role have your college days played in inspiring you towards this?
Good question.
Honestly, uh, I would say no role at all because getting into my college also was like a fluke. After school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I always knew that I was good at writing. I just didn't know that what I could do with it. So how I got into my college is that one day my mom, after my boards, came to me with a newspaper and she said, there's this college in Mumbai that has a course that sounds interesting. It's called BMM. Why don't you apply for it? And I was very lazy. So I'm like, yeah, cool, I'll apply for it. So I applied for it and I got in, and then I got in over there. I'm like, oh, wow, Mumbai. I'll go to Mumbai. I'll stay away from home. So that's how I got into that college. And how I got into copywriting from that college is that a friend told me to try it out. So I tried it out. So that's how that happened. So there was no, it was chaos. There was no, premeditation over there. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. I think there are no more questions.
Yeah.
Wow.
Would you like to ask? I'm prompting the audience.
Okay.
Do you have any questions to ask on a final note?
Wow. Inquisitive on a Saturday night. When you started writing, what genre did you begin with? Is what Neeta is asking. I don't know what genre it was. I just, while I was in college, I had this blog where I would just write short stories and like small little reflections from life. So they didn't fit into a genre. They were just pieces of emotion that I was writing. That's how I got started. In fact, my first job, when it was for the position of junior copywriter, I didn't have any work samples. So to prove to the person that I could write, I took a printout of one blog that I'd written on my blog and I gave it to him. I'm like, this is an example of my writing, and he liked it, and then he employed me. So I mean, the point of that story is that if you are into writing, then just write anywhere you can. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, start your own blog. In the future, it'll come in handy. And I mean, it doesn't matter what genre it is. Just initially, it's about just getting something out there, writing a thought or whatever. Like what I do on a general basis, and I'd also recommend if you're into writing, is that I actually have a notes section where in my notes, you can't see it, but like I have good headlines, post ideas, interesting thoughts, writing ideas. So like if you get a interesting thought, just write it down, and later on when you are struggling on what to write about, pick it up from there and write about it. Shreya Dalmia has asked, do you journal and does it help your writing at work? Neeta, I'll send you, wait, I'll have to go to my Behance profile and then copy the link and send it over there. But if you go to Behance and search for my name, you will find it. Yeah, so Shreya has asked, do you journal and does it help your writing at work? In the past, I have journaled. I do have a journal that I used to, I still have it over there. I don't write in it every day. Like Scott's, if I go through it, it's like a time machine, because like there's stuff I've written in 2016, stuff that's troubling me, stuff that I thought about today, stuff like that. I don't know if it helped. It probably did help with my writing, because the more you write, the more it helps with the writing. But for me, it probably helped give me an outlet for if I was feeling bad about something, I'd write about it in the journal and feel better. So my journal was more of like an outlet, but I think maybe it did improve my writing a bit if I need to write emotionally charged pieces. So which is very important for me, because as a copywriter, even though I love humor, at the end of the day, I have to write what the client wants. If it's an emotional ad, I have to write emotional. If it's a humorous ad, I have to write humorous. So I have to be able to turn it on, turn it off, like that. So in that way, journaling definitely helped me. What's your routine at this time in Corona time? So I like to I like to work out a little bit every day, because it makes you feel better, gets endorphins going, starts your brain. So I wake up in the morning. I first take my living alarm clock, aka my dog, for a walk. Otherwise, he doesn't let me do anything. So I take him for a walk. Then I come back. I work out, have breakfast, and I start work. Work usually extends. If you work in advertising, there's no fixed work hour. It can extend a little bit.
Work from home, right?
Yeah, currently work from home. So I work, and then after I'm done working, I have a little dinner. I have a list of things I need to do. So I'm trying to write my own novel, but that's going very slowly. So I try to do that. I try to write LinkedIn posts, Twitter posts. I'll read a little bit. I'll watch some stuff. So I don't have a schedule. I just have a list of things that maybe I should try to get that done that day, and I try to get
kind of
done.
A to-do list.
Yeah, so like things that points of interest or tasks of interest. So yeah. Yeah, someone has shared my Behance link over there. Alina Thomas says, your clients won't approve what you write always. So many times you won't be writing what you love. How do you overcome the issue of self-satisfaction? Um, so, in this scenario, the self-satisfaction kind of takes a very non-linear path. My self-satisfaction comes when I write something that I think is good, or think of concept that I think is good in spite of all the restraints that I have on me. So then when I put that out there, and then I see it being published or whatever, then I feel good, because then in my mind, it's like I did this in spite of all these difficulties that I overcame. And in spite of that, I did something that maybe my creative director and the client approved of. So that's where I get my satisfaction. And then I also tell myself that this is making me a better writer. And then because of this, one day I'll become that tomorrow. So that's where my self-satisfaction comes over there. Nita, the Behance link is up over there. Don't judge me too harshly, because it's I haven't updated all my work over there. Yeah, but over there, you'll in my Behance link, you'll find small pieces of work, not films or anything like that. You will find small creative pieces of work that I worked on, and a couple of personal things and whatnot. So yeah.
So,
All right, I think that's all the questions.
yes, you have covered all the questions,
Yeah.
and yeah. So, on a final note, can you leave us with your small humor for all of us?
With my small humor, I can tell you a very bad joke.
Sure.
That Okay, so the joke is this. I'll even type it down. How do you bid farewell to a guy named Sep?
Guy name?
One sec, I'll write to a guy. So this is a very bad joke, but I really like it. How do you bid farewell to a guy named Sep? You can, I'll give you guys 10 seconds, 15 seconds. You can write down your answers, and then I'll reveal the answer.
Bye.
Oh no! Oh no! You got it. Bicep. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that wasn't a very good enough joke. Maybe it would have worked if I hadn't typed it down over there. Okay. Now, since you answered this same guy named Sep, if he wants to learn how to swim, how will you motivate him? Any answers? 10 seconds. Sana, I don't like you. Okay, you answered both of them on the first shot.
Swim.
Yeah. So how do you bid farewell to a guy named Sep? Bye, Sep. How do you tell Sep to swim? Try, Sep. Try. Examples of my terrible humor at times, not my best humor. I do have a list of jokes over here, but they're all in the same zone that I thought maybe I'd stay over here. But Sana's guessed them all, so I'm guessing they're not good enough. I'm gonna come at you, Sana. Anyway,
Yes.
yeah, I hope you guys gained something out of this 1 hour that you spent on a Saturday night. And I definitely enjoyed this, answering some questions of like names that are on a screen asking me random questions. So yeah, do check me out on LinkedIn. If you have any other questions or whatever, you can always add me on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, and like just direct message me. I'm usually happy-go-lucky guy. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your experiences and wholeheartedly making us laugh and
Thank
making
you.
us understand the concept of humor, which plays a huge role in all our lives.
Thank you. Thank you
Your
so much.
valuable tips, tricks, and strategies was really indeed to all of us today. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Stay
That's
safe,
very kind
sir.
of you. Thank you, and stay safe, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Bye-bye. Hasta la vista. Auf Wiedersehen, as they say in Germany.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, dear participants, for all those